Epic.
All right.
That's been the first sound of the recording, just so you're excited for that.
It's good you're bringing it back. It's been a long time since things have been epic.
Mm-hmm.
Although I feel like the epic spirit still lives very strongly in Fortnite. That is a very epic game.
Yeah, you're right. Let me. You ready to go live, Lawrence? Did you change your stuff?
I did. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here I go. The internet was working 5 minutes ago, so hope maybe it'll work now. Hold on.
For the win. I'm trying to remember all the cringy 2015 peak internet culture verbiage.
There was a lot, Lawrence. Actually, everything on Attack of the Show was epic.
Oof.
Yeah, everything.
You guys were ahead of the curve then.
Everything back in 2010 was epic.
I miss the epic days, man. Did you guys know what the name was of my first series on YouTube?
Was it
Epic win?
Epic fail?
Close. Closer.
Man, can I guess it?
Epic awesome sauce.
Epic
Not
Epic
quite.
Epic Criken.
Farther. All right. It's my first series online that really is where I got my start. It was in Left 4 Dead, and I named it "Funny Moments of Getting Owned."
Oh yeah, that's rad. Wait, hold on.
It was rad.
How come you didn't
With an O or a P?
Yeah,
Was it
how come you didn't do?
It was with an O.
How come you didn't do?
I thought
Pwned.
pwned was
Pwned.
too.
No, you should have
It was-
done PWNT. PWNT.
I subscribed to the Get Owned club. I thought the Get Pwned club was just trying to be a little different. You know, they were a little too ahead of the curve. I wasn't that crazy. Okay, I hung up my spurs at the Get Owned cantina.
Wow. Well, you know what? I bet it got you a ton of clicks because what was it? Funny moments of getting owned or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Man, I would have clicked the shit out of that. I would have been like, oh man, I want to see somebody getting owned.
Oh, I want to see someone getting owned. Yeah, and it worked for many years. And then eventually I was like, this is just kind of a relic of the times. I should probably move on to other things. But yeah, they're still up there. My channel is some of the most viewed stuff, which is fun.
Did you call it funny moments of being a nub? Did you call it that?
I don't think. Well, first of all, I didn't use the NUB iteration
Oh
of
my
noob
gosh.
because again,
Oh
the same club of people that use pwned use nub. You know, call it for what it is. You're getting owned and you're a noob.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not mincing words here with you, Bruce. Okay. I'm not letting you off easy. It's you're getting owned and you're a noob. Okay.
All right.
I'm a straight shooter.
Funny moments of being a cuck. How about that?
That would do really well nowadays.
I know, yeah, it would.
That's the new getting owned is being a cuck.
I mean, but the new cuck is being a simp. So
Oh, you're right.
I feel like cuck is a little played out now.
Lawrence,
It's just constantly evolving.
you're too far ahead, Lawrence. So like, Criken has to be like 5 years behind. So that's why it would be cuck. So,
Oh, a good point.
So
yeah.
in 5 years,
Well,
5 years. Cuck had the shortest lifespan out of everything. It was like,
Yeah. It's
I don't
like
know,
2 years.
6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not widely used for like 6 months.
so now
Everybody's buzzing about The Last of Us. I guess everyone's happy now.
Well-
Did you guys watch the State of Play just now?
No.
So I didn't, and there's a reason. After this stream, I'm going to play The Last of Us for the first time because I've never played the game before.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, Lawrence, tell us about it. I'm curious to see why are people excited about it?
There's a number of factors. I mean, the most honest is that it looks like a pretty good game.
Okay.
And there are people who are just generally fans of Naughty Dog and stuff like that. Second is that, it's a first-party Sony narrative-driven single-player experience, and those have a really good reputation, and there's certainly a lot of money thrown behind them. So I think there's just generally excitement over that. And then I guess it's those two factors combined because like I don't know, man. Like I don't wanna be a downer or anything, but like Last of Us 1 was fine. It wasn't my favorite game, but that's okay.
People said it was a
but-
masterpiece, Lawrence. How dare you?
I know a lot of people. It was probably their
masterpiece.
Yes, probably their very first.
It was a
very high-budget
story with a little girl.
single-player game, yeah.
Come on, dude, an action hero, but he was cool, but then also gentle. Lawrence.
He wasn't very gentle.
Oh, right.
He had vulnerability. So like there that's an awesome gift. There were things about The Last of Us 1 that were pretty great. To me, it's like for a TV or movie to be like considered to have good writing, it has to be about here. For a video game to have good writing, it like just pretty close. So The Last of Us had like a solid season of Walking Dead's worth of writing in it, which is like for video games is pretty amazing. But I do think it's just a question of like, I think it's a question of like different standards. That said, Last of Us 2, they actually showed the state of play and they showed gameplay, which is something that hasn't been shown a lot lately. And it actually looked pretty good. They actually got into a lot of systems that are new for Last of Us 2. Namely, they have like more open environments that you can actually explore. Last of Us 1 technically had them, but it was they were kind of just like arenas, and it was a wide hallway, but it was basically a hallway. It looks like Last of Us 2 is going to have more like actually open environments with spontaneous encounters with enemies and infected peoples and things like that. So that's kind of cool. More like kind of more open environmental rules. Far Cry, Breath of the Wild style, what have you. And I hope that pans out. There's a lot of games that try that and end up not really realizing the like play of all those systems, because that's really hard to do. World simulation that's actually important. So yeah, there's that. And then they also showed there's a follower system now, so you can recruit people, and then when you're trying to fight people, they'll help out, which is pretty neat. The story beats look pretty cool. And then they had like a really extended gameplay section at the end that was just a full gameplay chunk. So I think on top of it being like having like the hype of Sony first party and everyone who has really brand loyalty getting really excited about that, it was also just a really solid game demo, which we haven't seen a lot of lately. So I think that's leading to a lot of excitement. A thing that I'm curious about, and I'll abstract it a little bit, is when I was watching it, I'm watching Ellie like shove a screwdriver into somebody's neck and then watching them thrash out on the ground as they're arterially spraying everywhere. Yeah. I'm just like, wow, do I not want to look at that right now? And this is by no means Naughty Dog's fault. It's they had no idea that this was going to happen to the world. But the last thing I want is a dour post-apocalypse of just people being savage to each other. On a good day, I don't have a lot of tolerance for that anymore, because I'm just getting burned out on cynical media about the human nature, the human condition. Yeah. But man, Last of Us 2 is trying to even double down on like being bleak and dark and horrible. Which again, they had no idea that the world would be like it is right now, so it's not their fault, and it certainly looks like a well-crafted game. But wow, does it not something that I want to like spend a whole lot of time in that world, because I want to believe that things are nice and good.
Well, how many hours was The Last of Us? Was it like 10 to 15 or something? Was it short? Or
I remember it being around there. Yeah, I mean, I think I was more like 15 to 20 because I really took my time with it. But
I'm going all in on Last of Us 2, by the way. Like, I'm excited because it's coming out. I'm actually streaming now, so I can play the game. I can sit down and actually stream the game and play it and find out what all the hype is about. But Lawrence, I'm really glad you're coming around to the I don't want to experience real life, or I don't want to experience the downer in a video game or a television show or a movie, because that's the way I'm generally always. I'm always like, I don't want to watch Breaking Bad, obviously one of the best television shows ever, but I don't want to watch a fucking television show about a dude who deals drugs and ruins his family and then like dies. Like, this doesn't, I kind of, the more that I watch that stuff, the less I take from it. So especially now with what's going on in the world, it's tough. Criken, I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same reason why it's been interesting to see kind of if the bleak dramas of, Netflix and Hulu and wherever else are like doing as well as like comedies. And when we were hanging out like a week ago, I don't even remember. Time means nothing to me at this point. When we were hanging out, we talked about reality shows, and like that has been a place of solace for many, because it's like so stupid and reminds them of a time before any of this stuff mattered, and like everything is like just fluff. So I kind of feel for, because I usually tend towards like the more dramatic or like dark kind of either comedies or like dramas of their own site. But nowadays it's been definitely a lot harder to get into that, I guess, because it feels like we're living in one. So I totally get why people don't want that to be the main thing that they're consuming.
It's I saw somebody be like, oh, but like you watched Ozark and you watched Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Ozark hasn't fully committed to that yet, and I keep waiting for them to like. By the way, I'll do the same thing that I did with Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad, I watched like 3 or 4 seasons of, and I was like, man, I love this show. This could go either way, because it could have halfway through the show, and then it went the sad way, and I was bummed, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to watch it anymore. And Game of Thrones, there were at least some good stuff where like the Night King dies, a spoiler, and like it's like
the lowest key dropping of a spoiler I've ever heard.
I mean, it's been a year and a half or something. It's like, come on. But like that, there were some good things that happened. Obviously, Daenerys goes crazy, but still, the show ends on a relatively high note. So I was like, okay,
they invent democracy.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. What if we try democracy?
Democracy. But at least there was a.
I don't want to get into Game of Thrones again. It's gonna get bloody.
No, I'm not.
Let's stick to
I'm not saying it was. I'm not telling you it was good or bad. I'm just saying it ends on a more positive note. And that's why I've been sort of singing the praises of My Hero, because My Hero is like relentlessly positive. So that's why, and I love that the most. That's why I always talk about Friday Night Lights. It's the same deal. Friday Night Lights is like such a positive show, and it's just like amazing role models, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's why I'm like now Lawrence, I'm sort of afraid of playing The Last of Us, because I'm like, is there going to be anything positive in this game? Can I be happy about anything that happens?
It's no.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you're honest.
So the thing is, like, it's a story well told, though, which because I hit the point in Breaking Bad where I realized the entire show was just like the only reason they would ever introduce a character that you empathize with is to kill them, and like I won't spoil anything, but like that happened, and I could feel it coming. I'm like, of course they're not going to give me a break.
Yeah.
And it basically got to where every character was horrible, and I didn't care about them. But I also didn't want to see bad things happen to them either, because I was just sick of seeing bad things happen to everyone.
Right.
And I remember like finishing an episode and just feeling like garbage, and I was like, "Why am I watching this?" It's just a weird dedication to completionism, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just dropped it.
Have you seen the most recent season of Ozark, Bruce? Because I love that show.
Yeah, I have.
And I started watching it again, and when this was all kicking off, and there was a point at the very end of that season where I was like, just entirely emotionally crushed by that show and just like everything happening, and I was like, I need anything else. I also tried recently Devilman Crybaby.
Oh yeah,
on
and that's
Netflix.
cool. That's a cool show that has some like, I mean, they're slaying demons, so it's like,
yeah. Have you finished it though?
No, I haven't.
I also wouldn't recommend finishing that.
No.
I was it left a bad taste in my mouth when I was done. And I was like, man, I wish I hadn't gone on this journey. So I'm in a desperate need for any other show that doesn't leave me feeling like shit. And it's been tough going out there.
All right, and The Good Place
is
a thoroughly uplifting show that also, Criken, I think I've identified you as a modern intellectual. I think you might appreciate.
Excuse me. I'm a postmodern.
Oh, postmodern
intellectual,
whatever that means.
Right,
postmodern.
Sorry, postmodern intellectual. I think you'll
you.
appreciate the way that they actually do work in philosophical discussion and attacking various aspects of morality into the narrative itself. And it's also really funny and well written and generally uplifting. Very cool.
Very cool.
Bruce. Going back to Last of Us.
Yeah.
There are parts of it that are like pretty well written, unexpected but true to the characters. That's always the thing that I really like, is when characters do things that do like spur on drama or create interesting or dire consequences, but it's true to their characters and their motivations and their feelings. So yeah, I don't know anything about Last of Us 2. I saw a brief rundown of the spoilers, but you know what? It doesn't. I only did that so somebody else wouldn't do it before me, and I'm still looking forward to playing the game, sort of. But I'm also kind of not. I feel like I'll give it a shot. But man, the first couple of times they're just like, yeah, people are really awful, aren't they? Doesn't it feel good to stab them in the neck with a screwdriver? I'm just like, It doesn't though. I don't want this.
I mean, like, I'm all in for like the Doom Eternal style, where like you're killing the most evil beings in the fucking world, and like in the fucking universe, and you're like, hell yeah, like destroying them. And so I'm fine if the game gives me reasons to not like the people that I'm killing, and then I'm like, hell yeah, like let's get them. But if it's like all in the gray, and it's like, well, but we shouldn't have killed that one guy because he like tried to help me earlier, and I'm be like, fucking shit, you know, like I was like. Yeah, I know. That's what life is. Life is gray. Yes, that's correct.
Yep. If that's the case, definitely do not finish Devil May Cry Baby.
Oh
Bruce.
no!
I'm telling you now. Stay away. Watch the first half and then be like, "That was fun," and then stop.
I had actually no intention of finishing it because I was like, I watched it and I was like, it was cool.
Yeah, I usually don't love gore either, so I don't know why. For some reason, I stuck with that show, which is literally those things combined. But hey.
That's true. Criken, you fell off My Hero. You need to get back on, man. That's.
I fell off very soon because of the tears. Which is funny because then I watched Devil May Cry Baby, which also has tears.
What?
But
It's in the name.
You know.
I guess.
Also, has either one of you guys watched Demon Slayer?
No.
Watch Demon Slayer. It's on Netflix, and it's what I'm talking about. Where it's like, you know, the main protagonist is basically incorruptible. That's why I love Batman. Because the Dark Knight and obviously not Ben Affleck's Batman, but Christian Bale's Batman is basically incorruptible, and that's what I love about him. And that's why I like those characters, is because he's you know, even though he's obviously super dark and that those movies have a very gritty tone to them, they still, he is the point of light, even though it doesn't feel like it. So that's why I like it. But well, I'm still gonna play The Last of Us. I'm still gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm gonna play both games because people have told me over and over and over that it's one of the best video games ever of all time, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna watch it.
It's worth playing. The interesting thing is you kind of mentioned the dichotomy of the nature of the villain or whatever. The weird thing is Last of Us does have the sort of like, or it basically has the zombie archetype of like they're not humans anymore, but they're enemies. It has that, but then it also has, you know, extremely sentient humans being as vicious and horrible as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. So it's weird because it's got both. I didn't really mind the survival horrors aspect of it, where you're fighting the infected mushroom peoples. That was pretty cool, and it's a pretty functional and entertaining survival horror at that level. But yeah, man, it's yeah. I'm curious to know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I really didn't think that I would like God of War, but I loved it. I loved it. I was a huge fan of God of War. I don't know what it was.
Talking about 2016?
Yeah. 2016's God of War, and I didn't think I assumed it was going to be like The Last of Us, where you're basically playing through a movie, and it wasn't at all. It just and the story was so engaging, and there were so many fun little twists and turns, and I just didn't expect the game to go where it did, and so I just really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So hopefully I'll do the same with Last of Us. God
of War it's a little more profound and uplifting than The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Because I love I love God of War the reboot too, because it not only does it add tons of context about Kratos' character, but it recontextualizes his violence and his personality. Mm-hmm. It's so much more interesting when he's employing those things to defend his family instead of doing those things to avenge his family.
Right.
Especially when with the first trilogy it goes well past the point of reasonable vengeance, and then he's just Screamy Man who tears people in half. But yeah, God of War's vision of Kratos was incredible. Like, to me, that's superlative writing. That's writing that not only it makes the game good, but also makes the previous games better and recontextualizes everything about the characters. Perhaps Last of Us 2 could do that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't hurt that in God of War, you are again fighting gods, but they're Norse gods, and Norse gods are horrible. Just by the lore of it. I mean, so were Greek gods too. But
it seems almost like all the gods of the ancient years were awful.
Exactly.
Well, they were human. They had human passions, human jealousy, which actually has some amusing crossovers to like the way that DC and Marvel relatively handle their superheroes, because those are gods, you know.
Oh yeah, just like The Boys. Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah, yes.
The Amazon show.
Yeah, I really like that show. I really enjoyed that.
It's a good. It was a good show, and much like we were talking about earlier, there is less gray in that show because like literally every superhero was bad, and they all were like the worst people I'd ever met, except for basically one of them. And so it made it really easy to be like, I fucking hate these dudes, you know. But it's still, you're right. It was still a really good show.
Man, I couldn't stand The Boys.
I know Lawrence didn't like it. Yeah.
Really?
Everything about it drips edgy 14-year-old.
It does.
Everything.
It totally does.
Maybe at my heart, I still am that, and so that's why it spoke to me so well. I mean, I think I can see where you're coming from. There definitely was a lot of moments that you're like, all right, but it was campy enough that I don't know. I kind of gave it a pass on a lot of that, and some of the twists I thought were genuinely good. And I just like the world. I don't know. I liked taking because I was never like a huge big into the superhero stuff, which is why I didn't really take much of a part in the conversation last week about the Justice League. But I know like the cult fandom taken to the nth degree and given Marvel ultimate power, or the Disney Corp, or whoever you want to relate them to, is I think a really almost realistic dystopian future. So I like that they took an attempt at portraying that, even though you could argue that, I mean, the show was made by Amazon, which is the other evil corporation that might own the world. So who knows? I mean, I'm sure you can poke holes in that kind of comparison all day, but it was at least a fun thought experiment.
I understood Lawrence's point, because it definitely, like I said before, it made it very clear that every single person in the show was bad, but the people that were fighting the superheroes were good. I like that because it's a television show, but I can totally see how you were saying it's like super edgy. It's like one wants a blowjob, and the other guy's like killing people, and like, I know. Like I tend to think that real life will fall in the middle, but I'm not watching that for real life. So
yeah, I guess to me, there was no character whose motivation clicked with me.
Yeah,
because Carl Urban's character like is intentionally vague and mysterious, and that's the clever 14-year-old gimmick for him. Is that he says he does something different every time. It's fun, right? Sorry, I'm going to try to not be condescending when I'm talking about the show. I'll try my best. And then the main character, who has probably the most bland and overused motivation, is that they killed his hot girlfriend. Then like his routine, and Criken, I know that you've complained about this with My Hero, but every single fucking episode, he's like, oh gosh, I don't know if I can do this. And then Carl Urban slaps him on the back.
He does cut off for you too? I only heard just the exclamations.
I only heard the whiny middle parts. It was like,
okay. You know what? Discord did a favor then, and enhanced my.
I think it still got your point across. Pretty.
It did. It totally did.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. I saw too many episodes of that. Was the arc of his entire episode multiple times? Is that he expressed a lack of action and inability to do anything. Circumstances did a lot of work to put him in a position where he just had to like hit a button. He would hit it, have this epiphany, and then the next episode roll all the way back to, oh gosh, I don't know if I can do this again. And what is like extra frustrating about it is that he's the voice of reason for the one hero who's supposed to be pure. Like he's supposed to be her moral anchor or whatever, but she's not, and he's not either. So it's I don't know. They set up all these characters to mean these things, but the setup actually invalidates the character for me at least.
Yeah, interesting.
So you have a protagonist who doesn't express volition, and I guess is supposed to. I haven't finished it because I got tired of it. Sorry, I was just noticing chat. So it's possible that all these things get addressed. I don't know that I could stop rolling my eyes long enough to get through it. But Garth Ennis, I think, is the writer, and that's also the dude who did Wanted, I'm pretty sure, which is also very 14-year-old edgelord.
Wanted's. I mean, it's okay. Maybe we.
I
have
love the movie, but the comic is disgusting.
I never read the comic. I thought the movie was hilarious. Which is why I liked it.
Cool. But it's like, again, so out of this world ridiculous that I was like, oh, it's fine. You know?
Yeah.
The movie took a lot of the worst parts of Wanted out.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Oh yeah, one of it was Mark Millar, another like edgelord writer. I'm sorry, you're right about
Mark
that.
Millar's what? Kick-Ass or right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kick-Ass is another comic that I desperately wanted to like that also somehow invalidated its own premise. Man, even the movie, the thing that makes my brain melt, and I'm going on wild tangents here, so this will be the last thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up for a while. For a movie that's trying to be a realistic depiction of superheroes, why does it end with a machine gun jetpack?
Yeah.
That doesn't... Is there like some fourth dimensional commentary there that I don't get? Or is that just they didn't know how to end the movie and then they became the very thing they were mocking the whole time? I don't know. Okay, I'm done.
Well, you know,
I don't remember
somebody
but
speak.
I do actually because I really liked it. But I guess unlike Lawrence, I never thought it was supposed to be a realistic depiction. To me, it was like when I watched at the very beginning of the movie feels like when you're 13 and you wish that you're a superhero. So like what you imagine yourself doing is going and like hitting somebody and they like go flying back. And that's what happens in Kick-Ass once he trains a little bit. Like he trains a little bit and all of a sudden he's able to like knock people back, and the people that are using guns like Nicolas Cage and his daughter are like the most accurate, you know, like this girl's an unbelievable shot, making unbelievable shots, and it's obviously not real. But I understand what Lawrence is saying. Is like there's not the premise to me wasn't ever, oh, this is totally real, and like this could be. That's what they were trying to look like it was, but it actually wasn't. It was the same with Watchmen. Watchmen did the same thing in the movie. Watchmen was that. By the way, Watchmen is basically a comic about real people becoming superheroes. But again, in the movie, when they're fighting, and also in the comic, they're punching and kicking dudes, and they're going flying back into walls and like breaking cement. So it's like, I kind of halfway through, I was like, okay, I'm just suspending disbelief. Like this doesn't feel realistic to me because it's not realistic. There's a Dr. Manhattan, you know, like, so I was like, whatever. And that was the same with Kick-Ass, where like there's a jetpack machine gun. I was like, fuck it, you know, like whatever. So that said, though, it's not like Kick-Ass is like I go back and watch Kick-Ass every 6 months and go, yeah, you know, like I watched it, enjoyed it, and moved on. You know, so that's what all it was to me. But I see what you're saying, Lawrence.
I'm trying not to talk.
No. Yeah.
Lawrence, I'd be curious to hear what you think of the end of The Boys, because I understand a lot of the criticism you've shared. I think the end of it introduces like a lot of really interesting. I don't know. I like the way they ended the season. I do agree with the issue of that character that's like, oh, I'm the bad guy, and like I'm not going to tell you about my past. I'm just, you know, oh my god.
Yeah, dude. What was
just watched a man explode.
What was he doing?
Is he just like dumping a bucket of lighter fluid into a
I don't know. He's like, it's not warm enough yet. And just like throws
just exploded
a bucket of gasoline into the pit and blows himself away.
Sorry,
but he seems okay.
Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I interrupted myself. I don't know how I can finish the thought with that. I don't know. It ends in like a really weird place, and I just appreciate that this like big budget, big attention show is like going a really weird angle and is using like mainstream superheroes to kind of tell that story. So that's why I generally kind of like things that are trying something new or going in a weird direction. And although I agree it kind of starts off very not new. What is the word? I don't know. I just woke up.
Yeah,
it starts off being what's the word?
It's tropey. It's rote. It's like it's the same. It's the same shit that you've seen over and over. I just liked the fact that they were like, you know, oh well, they're killing real people, and this is something that Justice League actually, ironically, and Batman vs Superman sort of acknowledge. Is that like when they acknowledge the civilian casualties of Man of Steel, and it's the same with the Avengers. They did the same thing where they acknowledged the civilian casualties of like a battle for New York, and like that these superheroes are causing problems. So I was like, okay, cool, you know, whatever. It's like I've seen it before. I'm curious to see how this show takes it. But also, I have noticed that recently, in the last year to year and a half, when someone says, "Hey, it's good. This thing is good. You should go watch this show or this movie or this game," I then watch all of it because I don't want anybody to ever tell me, "Hey, you only watched half of it. You should watch the rest of it." Because so I watch every single fucking episode, no matter how bad or good it is, because I'm like,
Except for Devilman,
which
you did stop.
well, by the way, Devilman I discovered on my own. Nobody told me to watch it. So, but like, you know,
Well, I'm telling you not to watch it. So
I'm going to stay away now.
What is that going to do?
I'm going to stay away. But that's what those are the things I've been doing, like for anime, because anime is the same way. It's the same with video games. We're like, well, once you're 40 hours into the video game, it's great. Well, that's not a good video game,
Yeah.
guys. It's just not. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same deal with anime. It's like, well, 75 episodes in, it's great. No, dude, bro, that's not a show. That's not a good television show. That's not. So I've been punishing myself, and the boys I ended up kind of enjoying. I was like, oh, this is cool. But I didn't go to talk to anybody else and say, you got to go watch The Boys or anything. I was just kind of like, man, it's cool. Same with like, I watched Carnival Row on Amazon. It's fine. I watched it's fine. The Expanse, I watched The Expanse. A lot of people like The Expanse. I watched all of it. Thought it was pretty good. You know, take it or leave it. Whatever you want. So yeah, but
Good Omens was good. I really liked Good Omens.
I didn't. I watched all the Good Omens and thought it was really much like Lawrence. I thought it was really tropey and kind of like predictable, and I was just like, it was a slog for me to get through. But I watched it all. I did it. So yeah. So I don't know. It's I find Lawrence's willingness to just stop pretty amazing, because I can't do it at all. I don't know why I can't, but I can't.
I can only do it with TV, mostly because it has to do with, like, I don't know, I'm reading way too much into stuff, but with like creative intent.
Yeah,
this gentleman just fell onto a coffee cup. He almost, what is it, Mr. Hands himself? No, what's the dude who shoves a jar into his ass and then it breaks?
Is it One Man One Jar?
What?
One Man One Jar or something like that?
Okay, all right. Let's not go there. Thanks,
Sorry,
guys.
was that a spoiler, Criken? Did you only see the first 5 seconds of that clip and you didn't watch it all the way through?
No, I don't want to think of a Mr. Jar on this kid throwing fucking paper into a mug.
I'm pretty sure
okay?
it's One Man One Jar. I'm not saying Google it.
All right, thanks.
It seems like it is. Yeah, and I wouldn't say Googling it either.
Yeah, don't do it.
Well, I got distracted. It's okay. That brings up an interesting question, though. Can you guys think of any example where toughing it out was actually paid off? Like when you got to the end, there was a turn or a moment or a beat that actually made all the slow stuff ramping up to it matter.
Game of Thrones.
That
was a joke.
Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot has.
Oh yes,
Mr. Robot
That's a
has just a painfully slow season. And I was like,
But if you took season 2 out of Mr. Robot entirely, would that change how the series paid off, or would it just make you get to the good part faster?
well, you'd have more background on the characters that they elaborated on in season 2. So if you didn't have that background, you may not be as attached to the characters, I guess. I'm just guessing, by the way, because I didn't watch it that way. But for me, Mr. Robot, I thought for sure was dead in the water. I thought that was it. I was like, well, okay, never going back to that. And I was like, I went and watched a couple episodes of season 3. I was like, damn it. I was like, they somehow got me back in. But that's the only example I can think of offhand. I can't think of anything else where I was like, watched all of it and was like, well, holy shit, those other 45 episodes that I watched, well, I was totally worth it. Like, I don't know that that's the case.
This is pretty recent, but for some reason Red Dead Redemption 2 comes to mind.
Oh.
It's very slow. There's a lot of character moments that seem pretty banal, and it's like, well, why are you making me like do all this stuff? But I feel like once you reach the end, and the way that the end recontextualizes all the interactions you've had and the character moments you've had, and certainly like the arc of Arthur Morgan as a character across the whole game, the pacing actually did really matter by the end of it. And there's no way to know that when you're just playing it at the beginning. You're like, why does it take so long to ride this horse somewhere? Or why does it take so long to like skin a deer or whatever?
It's funny you say that, Lawrence, because I played it twice and stopped halfway through twice.
That's rough.
Can't finish it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I totally get it. It's one of the few games to me where like, and it had like the real pacing of a book. I guess Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire references may be appropriate here, even though it's not done. So it's hard to say if it was worth the journey by the end. But yeah, Red Dead 2 for sure. I get why you might fall off in the middle, because that's when it's kind of hard to tell where it's going and what's going on. And like, I remember in the middle of the game there are stakes, but it's kind of hard to know exactly how they're ramping up and things like that. Yeah, that's funny to see chat because there's a lot of like very diametrically opposed viewpoints right next to each other in chat. Like Red Dead 2 is so good, right next to RDR2 is painful. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely one where you have to kind of accept its rhythm instead of dictating your own, which is something that I kind of run into when it comes to like serialized entertainment like TV. Is just like at some point I get the vibe that the creators aren't driving anywhere anymore. They're just filling episodes. And that can be fine. Like, I grew up reared on like Star Trek's Next Generation, and while it did kind of have a continuous plot line through the whole series, it was more like there were tons of Monster of the Week episodes, but each one had an arc and focused on a character and told a cool story. But boy, are there a lot of TV shows that don't do that. Like, instead of just doing an episodic tale with a self-contained story, they try to lean into this continuing narrative. But they don't have enough story to tell, so it just ends up being a lot of like buying time. I remember this, like 24 was the first time when I was like, wait a minute, this is bad. Because I was on my like, I didn't even get out of season 1 in that show, which maybe that's another example of something that got good eventually. But for me, I remember watching an episode where, you know, they had 6 simultaneous plot lines going. All they would do is rotate through them, go back to girl in a van, and she looks worried, and the van driver says something, and she looks even more scared, and you just bought 5 minutes of screen time without doing anything. And then click back to this other guy, and then he does a thing. Maybe he like taps on a computer, he sees an email. All right, we're done with him for now. So it's the soap opera kind of format of using a bunch of storylines to buy time that's not really going anywhere or saying anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the thing that I definitely start to reach for the turn off button when that starts happening.
You must really hate television then, because that's basically all television is. There are so few television shows that every episode matters. It's like that's very, very rare.
Well, mattering can mean different things. Like, I mean, like, as long as there's something of value to each individual episode, but I do feel like a lot of the times that gets lost because people have a season to fill, and they just have to buy time, and then, like, you know, the Game of Thrones format, only things happen in the last 2 episodes, and it's only then to get you excited for the next season, so it gets renewed so the producers can make more stuff. Yeah, I kind of don't like TV for that reason. You're exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to find. I mean, like, that's why I was, like Watchmen's a great example of a television show, but it's only 1 season. But every episode matters, and it's great television all the way through. Same with Westworld's only season 1. Season 2 and 3 are bad.
I'm really interested by the shows that are limited, release. Like they signed up to tell like a 1-season story or 2-season story or 3-season story, and they're like, all right, this is what we are. We're not going to like constantly be trying to lead the producers on, or like, to get another installment of money from the studio.
Yeah.
Sorry, words are hard for me today. But so that's actually why I signed up to watch. I'm sorry, I'm still on Devilman, but it really left a lasting effect on me. But it was like limited release. It's 1 season. It's a full story. So I'm like, all right, great. I'm in. Like, it's like crazy combat devils. And then when it ends, I'm like, oh, I get now why it's 1 season. Okay, I guess I just didn't like the vision of the creator, and now I'm sad and like everything sucks. So I guess that's good because it's enriching. It's good to see different perspectives and to like further hone in on what type of content you like. But and it's a lot easier to do that when it's like a 1-season thing than when it's, say, I don't know, 5 seasons and just wait, by season 4 it comes back and it like it finds itself again, because then you're like chasing this high that you haven't gotten since season 1.
Yeah, that's not a good television show. It's just not.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and that's bringing this back to games too. It's been very hard to, like, Red Dead's a really great example actually, because people just rave about Red Dead, and the game I know is a masterpiece. I know it's beautiful. It plays really interestingly. And it's amazing what you can do in the video game. But like the story for me has never hooked me. 2 times in, and I just can't do it. It was the same with GTA, by the way. GTA was like I liked the story, but like 10 hours in, I was like, I don't what. And I'm like, I kind of forget about it and I move on to something else. And I know that I'm missing out on it, but I just can't do it. And for me, the games that have always kept me hooked were like, what's it called? Half-Life Alyx. Half-Life Alyx to me felt paced correctly. Like it was like just as soon as things were getting a little repetitive, and they're like, okay, I get it. Like with the same gun, I have to do the same thing. They'd change it, and they'd be like, okay, now do this thing. And I was like, oh shit. And then it was this really cool mechanic that I had to learn, but it felt really good at the same time. It was the same with Half-Life 2 and Half-Life 1. Those were both paced very, very well. Generally, Valve has been pretty good at that, like with Portal and stuff like that. Those are very, very well paced video games in terms of story. So that's what I'm worried about with Last of Us, is that 8 hours in, am I going to be like, oof, I don't want to do this anymore,
So I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, Valve are masters at pacing. The way you move through Half-Life 1, 2, and Alyx, the way you move through environments, you'll go from like closed-in subway stations to wide plazas to weird alien hotels, and the thread through it all is immaculate, and how they constantly are making you feel like you're in a new place doing a new thing. Last of Us has that as well. The pacing is a little more blunt, I would say. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be reviewing it for you. You're about to play it, but
no, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, there are some big story beats that will kind of disrupt the flow and put you in a new place doing a new thing. But in my memory, they're pretty abrupt and kind of jarring. But that's just my memory. Because man, I can only imagine how impossible it must be to pace a video game. Pace something interactive where you don't get to choose the timing that things happen.
Yeah.
You just have to sort of create environments and sort of nudge the player along at the right time. I feel like Red Dead kind of struggled with that too. To some degree, you can control the pace of it by just choosing to do story missions or doing going and exploring and stuff like that. But even still, if you just played it through for the story, it's still very, very slow. Last of Us feels like it probably should have been as slow as Red Dead, which makes some of the moments in it feel pretty abrupt and violent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is, saying that in every sense of the word. So I'm super interested to see how you come away with it, or come away from it, Bruce.
It's been really good for me to play these games on stream, because then I feel like I have a little bit of a duty to finish them. So like Subnautica was the same way. Subnautica I finished.
Oh, you did? How was that? I
loved it.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil anything. No, I loved. I just loved the game because it was the same thing that it had the same thing that Half-Life did, but it was slower, so it took longer. It took like 30 hours. But
it's more self-driven than
it is.
System.
It is more self-driven, which actually, generally, when it comes to narrative, I don't like. I would rather be rushed through the narrative. And given time to think about it while away from the video game, rather than sitting there crafting things over and over and over, trying to figure out what the story's about. Regardless, Subnautica was amazing, and I'm really glad I was able to play all the way through it. It's something that I feel like people should do, but it is a 30-hour journey. It's a very, very long journey, and so that's kind of what I say about trying to think of a television show Friday Night Lights and Mr. Robot both require hours and hours and hours of your time. But I feel like the time will be worth it once you're all the way through it.
Yeah, so. There are very few games that have left me feeling as enriched and personally accomplished as Subnautica did. When I finished it, I had to sit back and have a really, it was a top 10 moments in gaming all around.
Yeah, it was great. And Criken, you're exactly right. I felt like I had done something, even though when I really thought about it, I was like, oh, everybody else has done this too. It's like, whatever. No, I didn't really accomplish anything. But the game makes you feel like it. And then when it ends, I immediately wanted more. I was like, oh, well, wait, hold on. What about this other thing? And then what about this other thing? Well, what, it kind of left me hanging. I was asking a bunch of questions, and that's usually the sign of good content. So, Lawrence, you should give it a try. Did you ever get into it at all?
Not yet. No, I really want to. Everything everyone said about it feels like exactly my kind of game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Just haven't found the time, I guess, even though technically I have nothing but time. Oh, that hasn't been true the previous week. I had some projects that have been fun to work on. But the way you talk about Subnautica reminds me a lot of, what is it, Outer Wilds, not Outer Worlds.
Okay.
Have you guys played that?
I never did.
Yes.
No, I never did.
That's my other. Oh my god, the ending of that game. Speak back to the original topic of endings that stick the landing. The ending of that game justifies everything in that game. It was
cool.
That was up there in Subnautica levels. Actually, Bruce, I really recommend you play that game.
That's a lot of people have, and I probably will at some point, just because so many people have said, "Oh my gosh, you got to try it." I only played a little bit of it, like an hour or something for a Funhouse video, but I never really continued it just because it didn't catch me right off. But I feel like I should probably give it the time. So
it definitely, what you're describing as you like a more hands-on story that kind of shows you what it's about. This is the opposite of that. This is like the most hands-off story that I think I've ever seen in a video game, even like more so than Dark Souls, which was already like, you have to discover everything yourself.
It's basically like Myst.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
If you ever tried to seriously play Myst, there's a whole narrative to Myst, but yeah, you have to find it organically in the world, and it's like there are things placed in spots that their placement there is significant and makes sense, but they'll never tell you that, and there won't be a text log. I mean, there are some text logs in Outer Wilds, but yeah, it's mostly like you just have to be thinking about the things you know and how they connect to the things you see, and it tells a whole story behind what happened before you got there.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's cool, but it's also there are like brain expanding moments in that game where things click, and the ending is like the most galaxy brain.
Yeah,
because God, it's amazing.
It really is. It totally flips on its head. I think the preconceptions of like what it means to beat a game, like
really,
wow. Which is I can't think of any other game that's done that for me, where I've been like, wow, I'm left feelings that I have never felt when beating a game before.
Do that like Pablo Escobar, hands behind your back, staring out a window kind of moment.
Yeah, definitely one of those. I definitely got pretty emotional, I think, in like the final cutscene. Oh man, yeah, I can't recommend it enough. But also, it's not for everyone. It's definitely one of those games where if you don't like being left to your own devices or putting together pieces to a puzzle and feeling lost, then it might be rough.
Yeah.
But
well, then
if you can power through, it's worth it.
Shit, maybe you guys are getting me hyped for it. So that's that sounds exciting. Like once I get through Last of Us and Minecraft Dungeons and a few other newer games, I need another series to start because Bannerlord doesn't work anymore. So
it doesn't work anymore. What happened?
No, it just crashes over and over and over. It's
oh no.
They've been patching it, and it's just which is totally fine. I enjoyed the 75 hours I played of that game. It was man, I loved it. But yeah, I need something new to play, and I'm excited about all the story based games coming soon, like Cyberpunk, and oh man, I just can't wait.
Denuvo got you, man. Denuvo's crashing all your games, Bruce.
What? Who?
Nothing. It's a dumb joke. Everyone was blaming Denuvo for like losing frames in Doom or something like that.
What the hell?
So now Denuvo is.
What's Denuvo?
Oh my gosh. So way back in the day, Denuvo was DRM software. It was to like validate disks, and it ran like at the firmware level to it used the angle of the laser on the CD to like figure out whether or not your disk was legitimate. Everyone hated it because everyone hated DRM, and also people blamed it for performance and stuff like that. So then, this is a rabbit hole I didn't intend to go down. Id Software added Denuvo Anti-Cheat, which is not DRM, but it's an anti-cheat engine. They added it to Doom Eternal because Lord knows we're all playing battle mode all day, and those battle mode cheaters are a real problem. So yeah, they did that because they're trying to invest in the multiplayer aspect of the service. They want to make sure that it's running well. But it did prevent the game from running on some systems, and also everyone suddenly is getting really antsy about
anti-cheat
software that runs well. Anti-cheat in general, and the level of access it has to your system. A lot of people read half a Reddit post and now get very upset about it.
Yep.
So that was the whole thing. Whatever, they're going to take it out in the next update. So I was just saying, you Denuvo's crashing your game now.
I mean, what you should say is is the Riot Vanguard, because now Riot Vanguard runs in your tray. See, and you can exit out of it, and it'll say, because like it's actually good. Before Vanguard, you couldn't see, and
That's interesting.
They changed it so now that the anti-cheat for Valorant basically runs every time you start your computer. It doesn't matter if you start Valorant, and it's there and it's just hanging out, but it's in your tray, and you can exit out of it and be like, I don't want you to run. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I assume it has to be running for you to play Valorant.
correct, that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
I totally think it is, but a lot of people didn't when that whole thing came out about how, it was running, like you said, down at the firmware driver level. I think even maybe
Ring 0, Bruce.
Yeah, it was way down.
It's bad.
Way
rings. There are rings, and I know that 0 is the lowest one because Reddit said it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be so dismissive, but I am. I whatever. Maybe I should just embrace it. But I have a question. Sorry if any of you guys had like the media or video game topics banked up and you were waiting on a pause.
not at all.
Because I was going to swerve a little bit.
I don't know about Criken.
Huh?
Okay, there you go. There's your answer.
Good sign. Good sign. All right.
I heard Denuvo and I cheat and Valorant, and I tuned out because none of those made an impact on me.
Not playing those modern video games with all these modern
dude.
problems.
No, Criken's
I'm
he's modding
I'm a
Oblivion.
postmodern gamer.
I saw you playing Mortal Kombat last night.
Yeah,
How do you
it
feel about
was
that
also a sponsorship.
storyline?
And it was fun. I really liked it.
Hell yeah.
That game, when playing it, it just feels like a movie night with your fans, and then you're like hard gated by a fight that's too hard, and then when you beat it, we just go back to the movie, which is really nice.
Yep.
Yeah. The most melodrama. And then, like, I love Mortal Kombat story modes for all the reasons they invent to just flood what you're staring at with a bunch of goons so that the, like, named cast can just, like, punch and flip a little bit. Oh, it's so great. Also, just to let you guys know, big deal in Aftermath now. Not only do we have... Oh, gosh. So not only do we have, like, a storyline reboot that happened in 11, basically.
What are we talking about?
But now
Final
we have
Fantasy?
time travel again. No, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay. All right.
We have time travel.
Wait, was this what you were going to talk
Also-
about? Hold on. Was this what you were going to talk about?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
all
This is actually not exactly what I was going to talk about. But yeah, just so you guys know where we're at in Mortal Kombat verse in the canon, we have time travel. We had a mechanic where good characters would turn evil. They turn into revenants, which made their skin a little purple. So now there are two versions of each character in each timeline that also interact with each other and themselves in various cutscenes. So also RoboCop. So Mortal Kombat's the coolest.
Also RoboCop.
Very much the coolest.
It's pretty nuts. They like this the new DLC is basically just like Avengers Endgame. Like it starts off and they're like, oh man, we fucked everything up. Guess we gotta go back in time and get the thing that fucked this up so that we could just unfuck it for now.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, okay, well we're gonna need some help. They like rally everyone. It was fun though. It was a lot of
Including
fun.
RoboCop?
I kept waiting for him to make an appearance. He's just one of those like characters that you can fight as, but doesn't show up in the story.
Oh, good.
But I was like, every time that there was like a new portal and someone like walks out, I'm like, RoboCop, RoboCop.
Lawrence, what were you going to ask?
Right, the non-video game thing.
Yeah.
So I know that it's rare. I know that it's rare in a podcast to not only discuss media consumption, but I want to try a little experiment.
Please.
What have we all done in the last week that has nothing to do with ingesting TV, video games, music, or whatever? And let's talk about that for a little bit.
You bet.
If that's possible. I can start if no one else has anything going on. But
Yeah, go ahead, Lawrence.
okay, sure. Oh crap! What have I been doing? Steph and I have teamed up for a little project here. We're basically converting our backyard into like a sort of resort, if you will. So I was hanging up rope lights and doing some other yard maintenance stuff. And I do find that just handiwork in general is pretty fun. It's cool to just like walk into a space, see what tools you have, and then figure out how to bridge the gap from what you need to do to actually doing it and trying to make it look good. So I was hauling around ladders, I was drilling holes, I was screwing in hooks, I was hanging lights. They're solar too, so it's 2020.
That's
it's
awesome.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put out a little solar thingy, and then they charge in the day, and then there's a sensor in the solar pad that makes them turn on at night.
That's so cool.
So I don't have to plug anything in. I don't got to do any switches. Brief concern though. there's like this security light in the backyard that has a sensor that keeps turning on. So I had to just hang a rag over the sensor because after tracking cords for like 20 minutes, I couldn't find. I think it's just hardwired on all the time, and there was no like off switch on the sensor itself. So
Do you have possums living
Weird,
in your backyard? Is that why?
yes, and that's kind of a problem because I don't know. Steph is not a fan of animals that scurry. That's her definition. If it scurries, she hates it. And it turns out possums sure do scurry.
Yeah, they do.
Or excuse me, opossums. Because possums are cute. Opossums are not. And one is okay and the other one is not. We also have raccoons. They're very fat and I love them. I don't know how... There are some animals that like know how to be cute. It's just in their DNA. Ferrets are just cute when they play. They're just adorable as hell. Raccoons, too, somehow are just cute. So
Possums
we have
are
like
not,
a backyard.
by the way. Oh, possums.
No, they're not. They're absolutely
Possums are frightening, but I, for some reason, find them cute. But their face and teeth and the way they move are just disgusting. So gross.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're adorable, but I get why people think they're gross.
not. This kid has a trick cup. Sorry, we're watching
Oh, yeah.
a video of a kid scooping up dice. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe this kid has actually got the heat. Maybe he's actually got the juice. But
Miami Heat.
yeah, exactly. That's good. He's wearing a Miami Heat shirt and stacking these dice. He's pretty good at it.
I think he's
God damn it.
he's just really good at it.
He's more talented than I am at anything. How dare you? Apart from that, gosh, mostly cleaning up stuff. I know there was a couple of other things I was working on. I can't remember. I don't know. How about you guys? What have you been up to? Aside from, how have you been passing the time and maintaining sanity?
Not is the answer.
You want me to answer first, Criken? I can.
No, I said not maintaining sanity.
Oh.
Everything's gone downhill. I pinched my nerve like recently, and it's been really bad. It's like it's I've realized that I need to like have just more range of motion at this station because I don't know if it was like just too much of like turning the small rotation of my head, but whatever it is, like I've recommitted to starting to work out and stretch more. So
Well, I was gonna say, is it still pinched?
that's going to be the next thing. It's better now than it was when we saw each other. But
So now
yeah,
you can start stretching, because
yeah.
now basically like there are stretches you can do in your chair that will help you out a lot. Because this happened to me for a long time, and my mom is she's a fitness director and has been for years. She was like, "Oh, you just got to start stretching," and she was right. That's all it is. It's just basically like doing stretches in your chair or getting up and doing a little yoga or Pilates or something like that will sort of warm you up a little bit, and then you could sit in the chair for a little while longer and not feel like you're going to pinch a nerve and really fuck yourself up.
Yeah.
So,
Well, appreciate that. Yeah, I'm slowly getting better. I don't know. I've definitely. Oh, actually, I have one nice thing that is not immediately digital in nature. My sister. I don't really talk about my sister much online because I like keeping my personal life private.
Yeah.
But she, has lived in London for a little while and has a bunch of friends out there, and they do like a weekly Zoom call or whatever to do like pub quiz nights. And they recently have been getting a little bored with that, and they're all fans of like the show Community and a few other things. And so my sister, which I was shocked by, actually suggested that they start trying D&D. And they've never been that type to be into that sort of stuff, but we ended up, she called me up and was like, "Can you teach me how this works? I might DM for my friends." And so now I'm like putting together a little starter pack to help teach my sister how this works, and then maybe do like a one-off session with my sister's friends, and hopefully get them all hooked.
that sounds awesome.
So, yeah, the silver lining to all this is that both like my parents and my sister are starting to like see the value of video games and role playing because they have literally nothing else to do. So they're like, I guess we'll try the thing that he does. And then now they're like slowly starting to get it, and I'm like, bringing everyone into my fold, my
your
my digital
your
fold.
video game cult is what it is.
Yes. So my description of what I'm doing that's not digital related is getting my family members who are not digital related into digital things. So I don't know if that's a good answer, but that is what it is.
Great. I suggest the Cry Crew for your followers.
Oh yeah,
your,
CRI crew. Not CRY, because Cry Crew sounds like they're sad. Sounds like they cry.
crying.
They cry all the time. But Lawrence,
maybe they're just really good at role playing.
Lawrence was trying to do a play on Criken, so the Cry Crew at CryCon.
It's difficult because Cryotic and myself have been doing this for almost the same amount of time. We're like friends and we hang out, every once in a while. But like, whenever we're trying to brand something, like people confuse us all the time. It's very difficult to do Cry anything because it's either him or it's me. So CryCon has to legally be distinct from if Cryotic ever starts his own convention as well. So we have to find that fine line. Maybe we have any lawyer friends that can chime in. I saw that post. I love that one.
Wait, which one is it? This one?
The another one right above.
Oh, Keen? Are you talking about Keemstar?
No. The Celeste.
This one, yeah?
Huh?
Scroll down.
This one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Celeste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Staring at the...
It's adorable.
Well, you know what you need to do is you need to buy that URL. Basically, you need to start a competition with Cryotic. I actually don't know who this person is. I've never heard of them.
You never met Cry?
No, I never did.
Huh.
So,
I guess
then you need
we were
to...
in the Maker Studio stuff, and you were, I guess, with Machinima at the time.
Okay,
makes sense.
No, you need to be the winner, is what I'm saying. You need to go out and
Oh.
buy the URLs, patent, CryCon, or whatever the fuck you're going to call it, the one that's quarantine safe, and and then and start it so that you could put Cryotic out of business, right? Right, Criken? Say yes.
I mean, I guess Internet Beef does sell, so I'll have to ask him if we can start an Internet Beef around our name, which is just, I guess, 10 years too late. I mean, we've both been doing this for a long time.
It's way too
we
late.
just now noticed.
Yeah, it's way too late. So yesterday I took a day off in 10 weeks. It was my first day off in 10 weeks.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I drove to Santa Barbara and then a little further into Central California. And I had dinner at a table at a restaurant outside.
Oh,
It was unbelievable.
Wow.
It was the most unbelievable thing. I never thought that I would be in a point in my life where sitting outside with a mask around my neck, because you would basically, if you interacted with the server at all, you both had to have masks on, which is totally fine. Mm-hmm. But I was able to sit outside and have dinner, eat my food at a table, and it was just a really nice night. It was just a really nice night when I was eating dinner at a restaurant, and I felt fantastic, because in Los Angeles they don't have that here, and they probably won't for a little bit. So that was great. And then the next day we went on a hike. We wandered around this little preserve that was near my friend's house, and I asked my friend Dan if there were any ticks, and he looked back at me and said yes, and kept walking. And then, and then I was like, uh-oh. So I'm pretty sure I don't have any ticks. I feel like I'd have a tick, or I'd be able to tell if I had a tick in my leg, right? Generally.
you would see it, or
Or
I mean, you should just run your hands around and see if you feel a little bump.
Okay, good. All right, just want to make sure, because I have a little spot. It's not a bump. It's more of a scab. I just want to make sure that I don't have a tick in there. I hope I don't have a tick in there.
Oh yeah, Tex Toaster in chat is correct. You'd be dead if you had a tick.
Dead?
Yeah, you'd be dead. So you look fine to me. You look alive. So I'm gonna say that no. One tick is usually enough to drop a grown man.
Yeah, they suck a lot of blood.
Oh yeah,
all the blood
yeah.
out, like vampires.
Pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Really? Is that true? I don't think any of you
It's
are
absolutely
doctors here. I don't think any of you know that.
Well,
What?
there's many ways to be a doctor, Bruce.
That's true. Yeah, you could be a doctor of, what is it? Like a chiropractor, which is not a real doctor. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hold on. Oh, speaking of chiropractic, Criken, I was going to recommend to you. I bought like a pummel gun, basically like one of those guns that just beats the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Because I like about 20 years of very bad posture, and then like also another 10 years of just working out wrong, really messed up the musculature in my back. And it wasn't until I had like stunt training and pro wrestling training that it kind of hit a point where I was like, something's not right here.
Yeah.
Mostly that there was pain that just wasn't healing.
Right.
So I did physical therapy, and right away they're like, God, you gotta change how you're holding yourself. And then part of that is it's actually pretty interesting. I don't know, the human body is just a tangle of very survival driven decisions, but once muscles get like angry, they lock up, like they knot up like an actual knot. And you actually just have to beat the shit out of it to make it relax and to make like blood flow through it and carry nourishment and lactic acid and stuff away from it, so it actually heals. So I don't know. Yeah, we're sitting all day. It's easy to get that gamer hunch going on.
Yeah.
I'm definitely planning to start a war with my body pretty soon.
I'm excited. I'm really excited to trade notes with you about that because
let's exchange weapons too. I want to know what's the best use for each of the different parts because they're not getting off easy.
Okay, good. Yes.
Speaking
your
of which,
body is your enemy.
My AC went out this morning, and instead I woke up to it blowing cold air, just blowing hot air. So it's like over 80 degrees in my apartment right now, and I got to run real quick to go.
Wait a minute, hold
see
on.
If I can
hold on a second. Let me ask you this question about the situation. It was instead blowing hot. Why didn't it just turn off?
It was sent to auto and to cool. I checked. It was set to 68 degrees, and it was 78. And it was just blowing heat, and so now I'm actually dying.
That sounds like my
I'm gonna
nightmare.
get some water and see if I can get. I don't know. I need to do something.
Open your windows,
Criken.
Open your windows.
I have. I've opened all of the windows, and it's just getting worse. So I'm gonna maybe just turn it off. All right, I'll be right back.
So like living in Los Angeles, generally, if you're like, I'm in an area where it's not too bad usually. So like, I just have a bunch of fans. So if it gets hot, I just turn on a bunch of fans. Because number one, it saves energy. Number two, it's probably better for the environment. And number three, it's cheaper. So that's usually what I do. I don't know, Lawrence, how you handled the heat, because I don't think it gets pretty hot where you are, right?
No, I'm a little closer to the coast. It can get up to like 90, low 90s here, which is pretty toasty when you have no air conditioning. But yeah, tons of fans. Stephanie actually got a like industrial fan that's like supposed to be for a warehouse or something. Yeah. So I had to mount it to one of the windows, like actually drill it into the wood. And then the instructions also had this whole thing where they were like, do not ever run this fan without other windows open because it will burn out the motor. It'll like basically create a weird air pressure vortex, either high or low, because it has intake and exhaust settings. So yeah, that's a really good way to kind of just pull cool air through the house. This house is weird, man. It's kind of a Frankenstein house. It's California, so it's pretty easy to see where the decades went by of people building extensions onto it and onto it.
Yep.
The weirdest part is that the room I'm in right now was probably never meant to be a room. It seemed like it was supposed to be a patio or a sunroom or something because there's zero insulation in the roof.
Huh.
Yeah, it's weird. So it can get pretty hot and pretty cold in here. And there's not a lot of tools to like really deal with that aside from trying to suck fresh air through the house. So yeah, that's kind of how it is for me. I have a little desk fan that's just trained right on me, and then a massive droning industrial fan that I can turn on. It does feel pretty cool, I gotta admit, because like the dial's really heavy, so it goes chong, and then the like motor starts kicking up. Like
I know exactly what you're talking about. Those industrial fans are awesome. Those are rad. This girl ate it into that couch.
Yeah. God bless drunk people.
Just ate it. I much like you, I am in a space that was I think originally outside, and now is inside, and everyone's always wondering where. Like so many people have always been like, "Hey Bruce, why are you in a hallway?" And it's basically a hallway. It's like a tiny little balcony hallway thing, and it's funny listening to people talk from Los Angeles because like we're all in like makeshift spots that had to be converted to different things because everyone's been building on top of building on top of building with LA, and it's nothing is like, oh, I live in a 4-bedroom house with a giant backyard. It's like, no, not here. So never here. But hey,
yeah, that doesn't really exist. It's been an interesting process because I'm still sort of settling into getting a nice workflow just in this corner of this room, but this kind of went from being a place that I play video games in to being a place that I work out of, and it's been an interesting process in like space management. I don't know. I feel like everybody's sort of going through that now because people are working from home and you have to convert some space to a workspace. I wonder, like, I feel like organizers and shelves have to be selling pretty well.
Oh, absolutely.
Like home desks and stuff.
I was curious to see in people's like in the chat right now, like how many people have converted to work from home. Like how many people now are working from home, whereas before they weren't. If you just say if you're working from home, just say yes, and if you're not, just say no. I'm just wondering because I know a lot of people did it, but I wasn't sure how many people. There you go. There's a lot of yeses. Yeah, that's like because some people in my chat have been like I'm an essential worker, so like I still have to go to work, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of people have converted to work from home, and I wonder what the percentages of people that are now working from home. Oh yeah, the SCP
Quality meme.
Yep, it is a really good meme.
Got to sweep up after Peanut Boy.
I got a lot of people that said yes. And
shocking amount.
I wish I could talk individually to chat and ask them how they're feeling about it because I think a lot of people it's like when you were a kid and you're like, man, I wish I never had to go to school, and then they don't have to go to school now. And I actually talked to a few kids and they were like, kind of sucks. Like I wish I could see my friends. And I know that that's the way I would feel when I was a kid. I don't know if this has ever happened before. I can't think of a time that kids were just out of school. Everybody was out of school for an extra 3 or 4 months. I don't know if that's ever existed. So it's just a really weird time. There's a lot of people going through a lot of psychological differences now.
Yeah, everybody's going to be homeschooled now. Everyone's going to be that weird kid.
Yeah, it's so strange. It's such a strange time. I don't know how to say it other than that. I don't know how to say we're all going through something and everyone's kind of like, those are big changes for everybody. And it's a total sea change. So.
Yeah, I saw, what was it? Was it Facebook? They basically said like, yeah, we're just going to keep working from home after all this is wrapped up.
Yep.
And it's hard for me to imagine. It's hard for me to imagine a whole like that's got to happen with a lot of companies, right? I mean, they probably aren't going to make announcements about it, but I feel like if we're going to spend so long figuring out how to make everything work under these new guidelines, it's going to be a lot of work to even switch it back. Like once something's a temporary solution, it stays permanent until there's a reason to change it.
That's right. Yeah.
So not only is this a weird time, but my God, the ripple effects are going to be weird and interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder... Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, Kitsune in my chat says, my mother's a teacher and currently our county schools are hugely in debt. Currently, they may not open up at all this year. And I've heard the same thing here in California, that there's like people are just be like, nah, you know what? Fuck it. 2021. And that blows my mind. That just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So,
yes. I wonder, hopefully that doesn't like put a serious wrinkle in just general education. Like, is there going to be a whole generation that just has a road bump in their education process? I don't know. Is the debt because there's less tax revenue coming in? Or is that just like, is it in debt the way that all schools are underfunded in America? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't either. And like, to Kitsune and everybody else, everyone else has their own specific situation and their own variation on it. It's just wild. It's like the best thing about the human race is that usually when these things happen, really good stuff comes out of it. Obviously, there's bad stuff too, but like there'll be some really interesting innovation, and there'll be some really cool stuff that pops out of this, and we'll be like, oh wow, like, how did we ever live without that? So we're not there yet. We're kind of in the middle of it, so it doesn't feel like that. But I think eventually it will. I think at some point, we'll be on the other side of it. So.
I think so. If anything, it depends on how long this lasts, but yeah, it creates opportunity for new solutions, which I'm genuinely not saying this to like bite off a larger topic, but that's what capitalism is supposed to be really good at.
It's true.
Is if there's a market demand and somebody can fill that demand, then they're established, they get elevated, and that's how the system should work. So yeah, I'm excited for like communal teaching tools, better teleconferencing experiences, hardware that makes teleconferencing more easy, smoother. I mean, man, who knows? And we may just figure out that like maintaining a physical building for education wasn't worth it all along. I know that there's just so much infrastructure built there, but who knows? Maybe you can slip on some VR glasses in 5 years and go to school that way.
Yeah.
Man, it's in as many ways as this is horrible and it's causing so much negativity to people, there is a window through which we accelerate to the 2150 version of our world by necessity, where we're all connected digitally instead of physically. And Bruce, I know that you have been hit pretty hard by losing that physical connection.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how the human experience copes with that.
Yeah.
Especially if society does move into a digital platform.
Yeah, it'll be. It's probably like most things. It'll end up being a sort of a hybrid of the two. I think we'll probably get more digital connections than we ever have before. But then there'll probably be like some interesting, really, like close physical connections that people have, or like that, like our different experiences. Like, not escape rooms is the wrong thing, but like other sorts of experiences that are like actual close physical connections with other human beings. They'll probably be both after this whole thing is over, because generally humans are social beings and they usually need to be around other humans. That's usually the way societies work. So, yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. It's stupid. It's stupid to say, and I hate it. I hate it when people would say it to me when I was going through something tough. But people would always say everything happens for a reason. I choose to believe that everything happens for a reason. So there's a reason. There'll be many reasons for this, but it is really hard to see the forest for the trees right now. That's tough. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the most constructive outcome is that while there have been outbreaks of this nature, H1N1. Wait, no, that's a video game.
No, you got it. H1N1.
Oh, that's a real thing. Okay,
you're thinking of H1Z1.
That's it.
Yeah.
Boy, oof. My brain is too addled at the moment. I mean, it typically going through hardship just makes you more prepared for the next time if you respond to it properly.
That's right. Yeah.
The moments in my life when I've experienced loss have, because it doesn't happen automatically. I think negative experiences can damage you as a person. It's not that whole axiom of like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is can be true,
but not always.
But it requires it requires effort on an individual's part, and in this case on society's part, to bend these bad things into a constructive outcome. And if we all as individuals and together in our society, Joker and all that, can manage to do that, then yes, it did happen for a reason, and it was a good one. But yeah, I hope that happens. I have seen, because I've been desperate to see positive things, I've seen a lot of wonderful things of people at an individual level doing great things and maintaining connections and maintaining warmth. It's interesting though, because as a teenager, I kind of did this to myself. I just stayed inside and played video games all the time. And my parents, when they weren't in the middle of getting divorced, at least my dad would be like, "Hey, you should go outside and talk to people." I was like, I don't need that. And now I have enough distance from that to realize that it did sort of stunt me in a way, that just being around people made me mellow out about people. But if you just sit in your bedroom and think about people, you come to some weird conclusions. At least I do. I should be more personal about it and not preachy. But that is what concerns me, is like, for all the ways that we can get around the logistics of quarantine, the actual lack of person-to-person interaction can maybe drive people into some weird and extreme ideas about the human experience.
Yeah.
Oh.
Criken, just so we're catching you up, I'm glad you're not dead, by the way. We were just talking about like sort of what is going to come out of quarantine, and like I was sort of thinking about, hey, like there'll be some really cool innovations, some good stuff that comes out of it. Things will change, but ideally, a lot of it will be for good. So that's kind of what we were getting at. Just so if there's anything, I don't know. I was just saying it's hard to think that way when you're in the middle of it. At least it is for me. So I don't know that it is for everybody, but it is for me.
Yeah, I've had a hard time thinking more than like a week or two in advance. I think planning beyond that is just there's so many unknowns. I do think there will be a lot of for the good change, and I do think there will be kind of a resurgence of kind of valuing our time together interpersonally a lot more than before.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of worry for like the event world, like, you know, be it like concerts or clubs or, you know, these shows where it was always a given that there'd be this many people packed together, and that's just kind of part of the appeal, because I think there's going to be a pretty slow up, like, you know, return to that, like if at all, you know. There's going to be a pretty big caution or suspicion around being all together in close proximity for quite some time.
It's going to take years. It's going to take years.
Yeah, like conventions, exactly. Like I conventions, I know there's entire industries that are built around their once a year convention that is where they get 80% of their sales and all the interest, you know, in their product and everything and marketing, all that. Like it's the big deal of the year for their world. And for those to just go away out of nowhere is going to force everyone to change. And it has meant that a lot of people are looking digitally for a solution. It's just that it's not an easy fix. It's not a one-to-one of like, oh, let's just do it online, because it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah.
So on one hand, it's made kind of folks like us who've been online for years, we have a lot more kind of context. But yeah, I don't know. It's still too early to really tell, but I do think, you know, regardless, there's going to be limitless change really that comes from this.
Absolutely. And I'm not, and you know, like, this wasn't me trying to talk about anything depressing. It's just more of what we're all going through, because it's an interesting, it's so rare that everyone in the world is going through the same thing. And obviously not everybody in the world is going through the same thing at exactly the same time, because lots of countries have come out of quarantine, and like, you know, there are a lot of countries that are doing better and stuff like that. But I think we all have shared experience that way. So now we can all talk about it, and we can all be like, how are we feeling? You know, if some of us are still in it, if some of us are coming out of it, if sort of relating to that person who was in it before. I've seen a couple of like comments that was like, it was weird. I would say something on while streaming, and somebody in chat would go like, "Lol, imagine still being in quarantine," and I was like, "Damn, like damn, bro, that's cold." Like, it was one of those things where I was like, "Man, remember how you were feeling when you were there? You know, like, put yourself in my shoes, because I'm still there." And don't get me wrong, by the way, most people have been very, very positive and uplifting and helpful. But it's something that I don't, it should allow us to empathize a lot more with a lot of people. Hopefully that's what it's allowing people to do.
Yeah, I do think. Oh, are you gonna give a differing perspective?
No, that's it.
I think there's going to be one of the upsides that I personally believe is that when there is a kind of a shared trauma, there's like a lot of empathy and kind of mutual understanding and support that kind of comes out of it too.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's like everyone.
Yeah.
This isn't like a small subset of people that have undergone a trauma and form like a support network. Like, this is the entire world. And so, I mean, the opposite reaction of this is like people, you know, scapegoating and pointing fingers at what causes this and the kind of negative side of that. But I kind of think that the majority of us that are more rational will see the positive side of it, which is like, now when I see someone on the street and like we have like a brief moment of eye contact, we're like, yeah, that sucks, but you know,
yeah,
hey, at least we're still here. And like, you know, the fact that like society can bend but not break, I think is a really encouraging thing.
Yeah,
too.
It is. Yeah, I didn't. You know, you're right. That's a really good point. I never even thought of it that way. That because I think at the beginning of this, I heard a few people be like, "Well, that's it for us. Like, that's the end of civilization." And I was like, I mean, I feel like the roots are a little deeper than that. And yeah, Criken, that's what you say is correct. It's hey, we can bend but not break. We're still good. Things are still going. People are still out there, you know, getting food and going to the beach and trying to live their lives and having kids and, you know, doing stuff. So I don't know. It's sorry, I didn't mean to talk about this, but it's just it's on my mind.
Well, it's on everyone's mind.
It's on my mind all the time.
Everyone's,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's good to talk about it and not just keep it bottled up. And this is kind of a safe place to talk about it, right? So I'm glad we can.
Don't apologize for like. I think that's the other thing is there are aspects of this that are obvious and big and traumatizing. Like if you lost work, that's big, and it's very obvious then where your pain is and where your sympathies should be. But if you're kind of on the softer side of it, it gets weird because it's like the closest I think I've ever felt to survivor's guilt, where like, on Twitch I'm doing okay. I'm enjoying what I do, and I just kind of by nature am a little introverted, so I don't have the. It's really starting to hit now, but at the beginning, the first month, which is crazy to say, to me it felt like same old thing. So for me to not be deeply affected, or for just even starting to understand the depth of effect that it's having on me, is I don't know. I think it's affecting us all in very different ways, and you shouldn't feel bad about sharing your feelings.
Yeah.
Because I think we're just in the process of understanding what this is doing to us, and if we try to suppress it, it's only going to exacerbate its influence.
Yeah.
At least that's how I've always felt. If I have feelings and I don't explore them, or I think that I'm not allowed to feel that way, which is a lot of how I feel these days, is that I'm not allowed to feel like I'm put out because there are other people suffering way worse than me. Mm-hmm. Then that's when it starts building up. When I ignore it, that's when all the cobwebs start to build up, and then the acting out starts getting weird. So, yeah, I try to do my best to both be honest with myself, and if I need to talk about stuff, to do it, but then also try to be as welcoming and enabling of other people if they need to get stuff off their chest too, because we're all, man, kind of like you said, Bruce. Who fucking knows what this is going to do to us as individuals and us as a group, So I think it's important to talk about.
Yeah, that's the fallout's going to be for years, and I guess my only advice, the more that we talk about this even now, is just empathy for everybody. Like everybody's going through it. So like obviously I'm starved for talking to people, but every time I go anywhere to get food, whether or not it's a Subway or a local business or whatever, I always ask them, hey, how's business? How are things going? And most of the time it's like a kind of a shrug, and it's like, hey, it's okay. We're getting through it. And as time has gone on, it's gotten more and more positive, which is exciting. Like now I go to the same local businesses, so I walk in and go, hey, how are things? And they're like, hey, we're getting better. Like, we're doing good. And I'm like, oh man, I'm glad to hear that. So like, it's just it's important to hear that from other people, and instead of being like, well, you know what? Here in Missouri, we're out of it, so fuck off, like, nah, dude, be cool. Like, be like, yo, I remember when I was there and it sucked. Like, how are you doing? How are things? Try to have some empathy for your fellow humans, because they're all going through different, varying degrees of difficult, I think. But yeah.
And difficulty looks different to different people.
It does, yeah.
Everyone's going to cope in a different way, and some people are not going to be able to cope, and who even knows? I'm always reminded of, like, there's always this weird dynamic at like a funeral where people attack each other for not grieving properly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that happen quite a bit, and I feel like it's only going to get more intense as time goes by, which is unfortunate. So as much as you should be mindful, well, I shouldn't lecture, I guess. For me, as much as I should be mindful of how I'm dealing with things, I should also be mindful that the way that I'm dealing with things are not the way that other people deal with things. And if I see behavior, to remind myself that, hey, everyone's going through a hard time, and trying to be very tolerant and understanding. It can be tough if somebody's throwing fire out into the world, to respond to being like, hey, is everything cool? It can be tempting to fire back, and especially on the internet, man, that's just like the culture.
Yeah.
I'm kind of used to things getting like, that's almost part of the sport of it, is that somebody throws some heat at you and you just fire back. But I'm trying to train myself out of that these days, because man, who knows what that other person's going through, or what made them type that out, or they might just have some shit going on.
Criken, do you have any final words before we leave the podcast?
Wow.
You don't have to. You don't have to. I was just asking.
Let's end it on a positive note. The Rager, when this is done, is going to be epic.
Oh my gosh.
God.
I can't fucking wait.
Can you imagine?
I can't fucking wait.
It's going to be... I already said epic. I don't think I can one-up anything past epic.
Can I start? Maybe I should start a music festival called like post-COVID, and all it will be is people having the dirtiest, most close-up sex.
It's not a music festival then. It's an orgy.
Yeah. That's what music festivals are. Everybody knows that.
talking about
Okay, and there's
Pornhub.
just music in the background.
Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody's getting blowjobs on the dance floor. Come on, you know that. You're aware. You're aware of what's happening. So
He's right.
I'm gonna call it post-COVID, and Criken, you're not invited.
Aw.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Kind of mean, but okay. I guess at Criken we'll have our own post-COVID party during COVID.
During
we'll say
COVID,
it's it's the cancel COVID party, and we'll say now it's over, and it'll be totally premature, and it'll be a big media disaster. But you're all invited.
And then everyone will get pink eye or some other bullshit.
Yeah, but at least it's not COVID.
It's not COVID.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited for when there's like the all clear, the stamp comes down and its bars are open. It's gonna I'm gonna want to go get fucked up, but I feel like I want to stay at least semi-coherent so I can see other people just stumbling around, like barfing in the corner, peeing themselves.
Hell yeah.
You know, I can't wait. And everyone's gonna lose their minds, and I want to make sure I'm there for it.
I think the way it's going to play out too is it's not going to be like a one-day thing where all of a sudden everybody's out, because that's not the way this is playing out. But it's just going to be months of that, where it's just going to be that dude's time where all of a sudden they're letting loose, and then you're going to see. So you're going to get to see that for months in bars, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay, all right, that's the end of the podcast. We should say goodbye to YouTube. So.
We didn't intro the podcast, Bruce.
Oh shit! Welcome to Talk to the Internet number 30. Is it 30 or 30?
There it is. Yep, 30.
That was number 30?
Oh, it's our 30th anniversary or whatever. Well,
Wow,
anyways,
the big 3-0.
yeah. Say goodbye to Dirty 30. All right.
Bye, Dirty 30.
Bye, YouTube.